Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to my Red Dead series. Today I'm going to be going over 10 reasons why Red Dead Redemption 1 was actually better than Rockstar's newest game, Red Dead Redemption 2. And this video has actually been a ton of fun to make, and let me know down in the comments if you guys agree or not. Alright, up first is the standoffs. One of my favourite gameplay aspects of Red Dead Redemption 1's multiplayer was their Mexican standoffs. I believe it was every free-for-all game mode or gang match. It would start with basically an exhilarating duel at the start involving all the players. The game would place your team facing head-on with the enemy team in a standoff duel. And if you were good at dueling, you would actually give your team a very nice advantage at the beginning of the round. And come on, how could anybody not want this added into Red Dead Redemption 2's showdown mods? I feel like dueling in general was just made quite uncommon in this second game for some reason. Next up was Mexico. In Red Dead Redemption 1, you could actually visit another country where law and order was quite different. There's no doubt that Red Dead Redemption 2's map is huge, it's extremely detailed, but it was definitely missing a chunk. Heading across the border offered a big change of scenery, there was different laws, new NPCs, new encounters, and according to some data miners, it actually looks like Mexico was originally planned for Red Dead Redemption 2. Unfortunately, it looks like it is permanently cut content from the second game. However, we have some remnants found from Videotech. He found models in the game for buildings and towns, settlements that would have appeared in Mexico. Wildbrick142 also found some UI locations within Mexico, such as for bounties there. And there was also references to map region outlines in the minimap scale form. There was also even NPC models found for the Mexican army. Even if you look at the bottom part of the map that would have actually led into Mexico, you can't access this area without using a glitch, and it is just extremely weird that this is such a detailed area down here that no one would ever be able to access, no one would ever be able to see it. We haven't had an answer from Rockstar, but we can only speculate this was just cut during the crunch time. Next up is the soundtrack. Now this is somewhat of a controversial one. You either prefer the first game's or the second game's soundtrack. And both of these games have some great tracks, some very memorable moments, but their soundtracks are just quite different, offering different atmospheres and vibes throughout the missions and exploration you're doing in each game. In my opinion, there's just something so memorable about Red Dead Redemption 1's soundtrack over the second one. I feel like its biggest strength was the ambient music. It made the game feel so much more like you're in the Wild West. And it also made each area in the game feel so different. Many of the ambient tracks in the first game also seemed a bit more mysterious and gave that game a bit of a darker vibe compared to the second game. I'm sure a lot of you guys will agree, but one of the most memorable moments from the first game was entering Mexico for the first time to Jose Gonzalez's Far Away track. Next up are Ragdoll Physics. Now when you look at side-by-side comparisons for the physics from the first to the second game looks like it's used an improved version of the Grand Theft Auto 5's physics, and GTA 5's physics were basically a huge downgrade from the fourth game. In Red Dead Redemption 1 you could shoot out people's kneecaps and they wouldn't be able to stand, they'd fall down to their knees. The ragdoll physics in the first game were really ahead of its time actually, and they were almost quite arcadey in the sense that the ragdolls were so exaggerated, but it made for very satisfying gameplay. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, please take a few seconds to support it with a like. It's just one click and really helps support my YouTube channel. And if you're new, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos like this. In Red Dead Redemption 1, we could purchase safe houses and then use those owned properties to save your progress. You could change outfits there, replenish your ammunition, and in total there was 12 safe houses that you could purchase in New Austin, Nuevo Paraíso, and West Elizabeth. Now I get that Red Dead Redemption 2, the story revolves around your camp, you're on the run, but it would have been nice for some in-game content to be able to own your own properties in different towns around the map. This is also something players have been asking for since the start of Red Dead Online, and according to some leaks we'll be having some very cool properties added to the game very soon. I'll have that video linked on screen in case you guys missed it. There was actually references of mansions found and even ranch properties. Next up, Red Dead Redemption 2 actually removed quite a few of the gambling activities from Red Dead Redemption 1, such as liar's dice, arm wrestling, and horseshoes. One of the requirements to get 100% game completion in the first game actually required you to complete all of these gambling activities and earn all the outfits. So liar's dice, this was a personal fan favourite gambling minigame. You basically start with a cup and 5 dice, and you shake them under your cup so that only you can see your numbers, and you basically bluff every other player at the table by guessing the amount of each number facing up. The goal here was to be the last player with at least 1 die remaining, and Liar's Dice was even added to Red Dead Redemption 1's multiplayer with the Liars and Cheats DLC pack. And then there was Horseshoes. This was an outdoor game where 2 players would chuck horseshoes at stakes in the ground, and you would earn points by landing your horseshoe closer to the stake than your opponents. You'd get 3 points for a ringer, which is where you land the horseshoe around the stake. The first to 11 points with a 2-point lead would win the game and the wager. Last of all, arm wrestling, which is pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure you guys know how to do an arm wrestle. But the trick to winning this one was to wait until the expression of your opponent's face was kind of really struggling, and then you'd go full force to win the arm wrestle. In Red Dead Redemption 1's multiplayer, you could unlock some very vintage mounts. You could ride a bull, a buffalo, an albino buffalo, a super bull, a zebra donkey, and of course the mule. A lot of these weren't particularly fast, but they were extremely fun to ride, and I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 is just missing so many fun mounts. Undead Nightmare, in my opinion, was one of the best DLCs I have ever purchased for a video game, and for just $10 you'd get a whole new zombie-themed single-player campaign. You got new challenges, new quests, events, online characters, even new horses, and Bigfoot. The DLC was just so much fun. And although it was the same map as Red Dead Redemption 1, the zombie outbreak just gave the game so much more replayability, and you were just happy to revisit the game again. And just to compare what $10 gets you in Red Dead Redemption 2 online, that gets you about 25 gold bars, which doesn't even get you half of the Black Arabian horse. The sad thing is, we're unlikely to ever get a DLC like this from Rockstar Games ever again. If Grand Theft Auto 5, the most successful and profitable entertainment product in history, had its single-player DLC cancelled and repurposed for online updates, you guys can bet your bottom dollar there's 0% chance Red Dead Redemption 2 will ever get one. And this is a real shame, you know, because Rockstar has created some amazing DLCs in their time. At the number 9 spot is the weapon wheel. Now, Red Dead Redemption 2 drastically changed up the weapon wheel from the first game. You can now only hold sidearms and 2 main weapons at a time. And sure, this is more realistic, but there's just something about having all of your weapons accessible in your weapon wheel that makes the game so satisfying to play. And you also never find yourself in a situation where you don't have the right weapons, such as when you load into a free roam event or into a PvP showdown mode and you're unable to change your weapons mid-round because it's not in your weapon wheel. Alright, so this leaves me with the last thing that Red Dead Redemption 1 did better than Red Dead Redemption 2, and that is the fact that that game did not include ridiculous gambling challenges. In fact, I'm almost certain that whoever designed these stupid challenges didn't even QA them properly, as they're going to take you an obscene amount of time to complete. If any of you guys are like myself and you're a completionist and you have to get 100% in the games that you play, you'll know that the 100% requirement for completing the gambling challenges in Red Dead Redemption 2 was one of the most frustrating experiences in a video game ever. Just to go through a few of the most prolific challenges, there was Gambler 8, where you had to win 3 games of blackjack with 3 hits or more. Now, doing this once was extremely unlikely. You're most likely going to go bust if you hit 3 times in blackjack, but then you actually have to win the hand and then do it 3 times in total. This one literally took me over 10 hours of playing blackjack to complete. And this isn't just my bad luck here. I made a guide on these gambler challenges on how to complete them, and the comment section is just filled with hundreds and hundreds of comments of people just expressing their rage for these absurdly luck-based challenges. We also had Gambler number 9, win 3 games of dominoes in a row. Do you know how hard it is to win 3 games of dominoes in a row? Who came up with this stuff? Gambler challenge number 10, win 3 games of poker in a row. This one probably took me 10 hours at least of playing poker to complete. Red Dead Redemption 2's gambling challenges were just so unnecessarily hard, and probably made a lot of people hate dominoes and blackjack for life. Alright guys, so that was my top 10 reasons on why Red Dead Redemption 1 is better. Let me know in the comments, do you guys agree with me? And if so, why? What was your favourite thing about either of these games? Thank you guys so much for watching, stay safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next video. Today's video is brought to you by So You Want to Be a YouTuber. This is your ultimate strategy guide to branding, building viewership momentum, and monetizing a YouTube channel with as little as 1,000 subscribers. It's beautifully printed in full colour and is now available on Amazon paperback and Kindle. Check out the link in the description or search So You Want to Be a YouTuber on your local Amazon store, and you can even preview it for free.